Hello and welcome to Squib TV. I'm Samuel Layton, joined by James Cartwright, and today we're going to be talking about
the Buffalo Bills.
So last season was quite an anonymous season for the Bills. They didn't really do anything in terms of pushing towards the playoffs. They started fairly well, looked like they could have been there or thereabouts, dropped off towards the end, suffered a few key injuries. What did you make of the Bills last season? What do you think they've done in the off-season that may help them out?
Well, it's been big changes at Buffalo, hasn't it? I mean, the circus that is Rex Ryan has left the organisation. Now they've brought in Sean McDermott. And I'm going to confess I don't know a great deal about him. He's been the Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator for the last few years, so that you can clarify who this guy is.
Yeah, so Sean McDermott, over the last few years, he's built a really solid defence in Carolina. As you may have seen, Dave Gettleman has been sacked from the GM position in Carolina. I think a lot of that to do with him not allowing Sean McDermott to retain certain players, such as Josh Norman, who now plays for the Redskins, of course. But yeah, Sean McDermott, I think Bills fans can look forward to at least a solid defence. He already had a pretty solid defence, in my opinion. I think he's the sort of guy who really can motivate the team. He definitely did that with the Panthers. Definitely a bit of camaraderie there. So I think the Bills fans have got a decent head coach there. Obviously, not seen him in a head coaching position before, so a whole new entity for him, but certainly a solid guy on the defensive side of the ball. So hopefully for them it'd be decent coaching-wise. What about the players, James? Anything you've seen them doing, or anyone you think is a key sort of player for the Bills?
Well, it's been a bit of change at the Bills. They've brought in Chakoris White. Is that? I'm not sure if I'm getting his first name right there. I've just got it written down. He's a cornerback, and he comes in, replaces Stephon Gilmore, who's left the side, who was one of their more solid players last season. The big one they've picked up, which impresses me, is Micah Hyde from the Green Bay Packers. He's always been solid throughout his time at that organisation. Whether they've let him go because he's over the hill in his career is questionable. What do you think of that?
I think Micah Hyde's a great pickup. I always remember his pick from the backhanded pick that he did from Teddy Bridgewater's dodgy weak arm throw. But yeah, he's certainly. I think we talked about this when we talked about other teams, in that these veteran players come in, and even if they're just more of a locker room influence than anything else, Micah Hyde, I think he's still got plenty left in the tank. We look at players in the safety position playing until almost hitting the 40s, really. So I think Micah Hyde's still got plenty of time there. And he's been solid for Green Bay, and he's the sort of person who could come in as a leader on that Bills defence in what I think is a relatively young team. I always think the Bills do seem to have like a young side for the most part. I think he's certainly a decent addition defensively. Do they have a decent defence last season, James? Do you think that they were out in 19th in defence last year? Do you think they're going to get better this year?
I can see them improving slightly. We'll see how they get on. I mean, a lot of rookies coming in there. But the thing I want to talk about is really the passing game. Can they improve in the passing game this season? Sammy Watkins, hopefully they'll have a full season this year, was injured throughout last season. Brought in Andre Holmes as well from the Oakland Raiders. Was a solid player there, but obviously was third, fourth choice behind a array of good wide receiver that they had there. But the main guy for the Buffalo Bills again is LaShawn McCoy, isn't it? At the end of the day, he's the one they're going to expect to be putting up the big yards if they're going to make them playoffs.
Yeah, well, LaShawn McCoy obviously is a good running back. I think one of the things which troubled me, obviously, as a Bills, if not a Bills fan, but if I was a Bills fan, would be Gillisley has gone to the Patriots, the second choice running back, so I think a lot more work for McCoy this season, but he's one of them who delivers. He's delivered in Philadelphia, he continues to deliver in Buffalo. Hopefully with the right scheme around him, he'll improve. Finally, the quarterback saga seems to be over. EJ Manuel's been shipped off now. I think he's gone to the Raiders as the backup. If I'm wrong there, he's not at the Bills, so I'm not sure which team he is. I think it's the Raiders. Tyrod's going to get that start. For me, Tyrod, I think, deserves a start. I think he's been very good over the past few seasons. With a fit receiver like Sammy Watkins and a decent running back, they could have a pretty explosive offense. I think Tyrod also a dual threat guy. I definitely think offensively they seem pretty decent. Like you say, a couple of decent pickups there as well in the passing game. I think a lot of it relies on Sammy Watkins just remaining fit for the full season, though.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, he was the guy a couple of seasons ago, and then, as we say, injured last season. But that whole Tyrod Taylor thing at the end of last season sort of caught me by surprise, should I say. I didn't understand why they were going back to manual. I didn't think he was a particularly great player. I thought Tyrod had made waves over the last couple of seasons, so when he was took out, that was confusing.
Well, I think that is one of the reasons why we see that Doug Whaley and Rex Ryan have gone. I think some questionable decisions made there, but hopefully Sean McDermott will come in and he'll get the best out of Tyrod. I'd like to see Tyrod do well. I think the Bills could be a dark horse for the playoffs. I think I tend to say this quite a lot about the Bills. They seem to have a string of bad luck, but I think one year they're going to break it. I think with this core of players they've got, I think certainly probably around about that time. Anything else you want to add on the Bills, James? Anything you want to look forward to this season if you're a Bills fan?
Well, I just think we'll see a bit more of an organisation at the Bills. I think the big games for them will be against the Dolphins. Whoever can come out on top in them particular games will, maybe sneak into that wild card spot. Because I don't think any of these sides, other than the New England Patriots, are going to be getting that, into the divisional round. So the best they can hope for is probably the wild card.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
We've been Squib TV. If you are a Buffalo Bills fan, please let us know what you thought. If you disagree with us, is there any players that you think we should watch out for? Anyone you'd put on your fantasy draft boards who's a Bills player who you might want to pick up and have a look at? Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Squib_TV. Like us on YouTube, subscribe, and leave a comment as well. Thank you.
It's a touchdown.